And just like that, we back again for another leg day. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Rod C, aka Weights and Shakes. And here it is. Alright, so let's get right into it. But first, let's backtrack. Usually on my leg days, I do like a hamstring day / glute day. That's all one day. And then on the next one, I target my quads. And then, of course, I hit calves on both days. However, on this one, I decided to put it all together and show y'all what I'm doing. All right, let's get into it. So I started off with the single leg press. Now, if you've never done a single leg press movement, I definitely wouldn't advise you to put any weight on. And I definitely would recommend that you can do at least, I'd say 3 or 4 plates on each side for at least about 20 reps to kind of get the most out of this exercise, because this isn't necessarily something that should be loaded up. I mean, you can go somewhat heavy, but I definitely wouldn't recommend putting 3, 4, 5 plates on, for a single leg press. That's not really what we're trying to do here. Right now, I'm pretty much just targeting the glutes and hamstring just by putting my foot at about I'd say about a 70-degree angle. Not quite at a 45, but not quite, up and down at a 90. Just kind of split the difference and go from there and see what feels good. All right, right after that, I rode in the walking lunges, body weight only. So I definitely shoot for 10 each leg minimum, and then 12 to 15. And if that feels good, then I definitely add some weight and kind of go from there. But this is another one of those exercises where we're not trying to go super heavy. I mean, you can if you're already at that level, but if you're definitely just starting out or just trying to grow like that sweep on your quads, I wouldn't recommend that. Just go for quality reps before you start trying to add a bunch of weight. Now, keep in mind, we're targeting the quad right here. You can target, the hamstrings or the glutes with these lunges, but right now we're targeting the quad. So our stance needs to be, I'd say, a little longer than our natural walking stance. Not super exaggerated, not a little baby step, but just past where it feels natural as far as your walking stance. Our toes should be straight forward. There are different variations of that and different, lunges that we can do and get into. But right now, toes should be straight forward. And that back knee should be about 1 inch or 2 inches above the turf, carpet, concrete, wherever you're doing them lunges at, 1 inch or 2 above the surface. Now, me personally, this exercise right here really added the girth to my legs. For whatever reason, those lunges, especially hitting that full range of motion, did it and still continues to do it every time. After the walking lunges, I went straight to the squats. I had to. That's a staple. I'm not no real big squatter, but I still do squat at least. I try to squat at least once every week and a half. Nothing crazy. At times I do it every session, and sometimes I go a couple weeks without it. It just depends on what I got going on, how I feel, or what I want to work on. Oh, one more thing. I ain't even finna cap. I did not go straight to squatting 3 plates. 1 plate on each side, do about 15 or so reps or whatever you're comfortable with, and then work up to your working weight. I typically do 1 plate, do what I'm going to do as far as reps, 2 plates, do what I'm going to do, then work my way up to 3, and then from there, start my actual working reps. All right, buckle your seatbelts because it's about to get rough. One thing I love doing is a reverse pyramid. So after my last working set, I immediately pull a plate off, then it's AMRAP all the way down, as many reps as possible. So right now I'm about to hit 315 for as many as I can get. Pull a plate, 225 for as many as I can get. Pull a plate, 135 for as many as I can get. And then that's it. That's the last set. I love doing that. A super long drop set. Sounds crazy, but if you can manage to do it, do it. You don't have to necessarily use 315. You don't have to necessarily go down 90 pounds at a time. Whatever you're comfortable with. Even if you just loaded the bar with a bunch of 10s or 10s and 5s or a bunch of 25s. Again, whatever you're comfortable with. I don't want people getting on here and trying to do the same weight that I do. I do not recommend that for anybody. I'm not saying that I'm, super strong or nothing like that. But that's definitely not how I got started in the game. Creating a good foundation weight-wise and knowing your limits is that will take you super far. I've seen many people try to do all kind of crazy stuff they see on YouTube, crazy stuff people tell them about, and end up getting hurt. And that could be potentially career ending. Again, do what you're comfortable with and come all the way down. But just remember, like in your mind, whatever you start out with, whatever your heaviest lift is, start with that weight and work your way down. One more thing too, safety wise, I walk in the gym pretty much every day. I see it all the time. I know y'all see it too. People get in a rack or use a rack like this and don't adjust the safety bars. Now, not adjusting the safety bars doesn't do you any good if you drop that weight. Even if you only got 135, even if you got 405, even if you got 600, 700, 800 pounds on there. I mean, you probably wouldn't be using a rack like that anyway, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like, adjust the rack. If it's too low, it ain't gonna do you any good. I try to keep it at about 6 or so inches. If I ain't got it, boom, it's right there. And really, it should be a little tighter than that. But just in case, you know, you got a little wiggle room, 6 inches, you should be good. Last but not least, definitely technique. Now, I'm not really like a stickler on technique, but it should be close. Even if you can't get it perfect, but the execution should be close as far as, you know, feet slightly shoulder width apart, toes are going to be out, bars up on top of your back, probably on your traps, hands are pretty, you know, comfortable distance away from you. Boom, lift the weight, go from there. All right, moving on. We got single leg lying leg curls. This is another one of my go-tos. You can really isolate the muscle group by doing single leg, and you don't really realize how strong you are until you do a single leg. It took me a little while to kind of get into it. I did, you know, just basic 2 legs at a time for the longest until I was like, man, let me slow it down a little bit. That wasn't until I started kind of bodybuilding, focusing, when I started doing single leg movements, when I really wanted to focus on my right leg, when I really wanted to just focus on my left leg. That's when I started doing single leg movements. Key takeaway, while you're doing this exercise, remember to relax. If someone were to walk up and grab your foot and move it from side to side, it should move freely. You shouldn't be all tensed up from the neck down trying to do some hamstrings, all right? Just keep that in mind. And just like that, we're back targeting the quads. So we have a narrow stance, Smith machine squat. And the only other variation is that you're going to take I'd say about a step forward, maybe a step and a half, depending on your height and your leg length, and squat. And when you squat, your quad should be about parallel with the floor. It should look almost exactly like a chair. Again, depending on your range of motion, but this is what we want to target to really put tension on those quads and keep it there. Again, this is not a real heavy exercise. Don't get me wrong, you can go heavy if you want. Right now, we're just more so going for quality reps. That's what I'm about, quality reps and getting the most out of each exercise. Last but definitely not least, y'all know I had to end it with the leg extensions. Full range of motion, squeeze at the top. Remember, y'all want to be relaxed. Your biceps shouldn't be swole trying to hold on the machine and lift all that weight, because 9 times out of 10, you ain't coming all the way up. And if you are, more power to you. That's it for now. Y'all stay swole.